That's so cool.
Hello, everyone, and we are live on the Around the Ballpark podcast. I already see quite a few of you in with us watching along. That is awesome. Thank you so much. We are live here tonight, November 10th, Around the Ballpark podcast. As I mentioned, my co-host this evening filling in for me is Rob Shoemaker, resident Cincinnati Bengals fan, has agreed to step into this role tonight as a co-host, even though we're talking about the Cleveland Browns, division rival. With that said, our guest of honor tonight, we'll get to meet him in just a few minutes, is Kevin Smith. We're going to be talking all things Cleveland Browns. And don't feel bad. I know they're not performing like you want them to, but I'm a Carolina Panther fan. I'm right there with you, same amount of wins. So we'll get through this together, buddy. But with that said, before we jump into the fun stuff, I have to mention our sponsor, which is Nashville Tax Solutions, and Christopher Bennett is actually on his way home right now. He went to the Tampa Bay Bucks game. He has season ticket holder. So he went to the 49ers game today in Tampa. San Francisco got the 3-point win. Big game for San Francisco. They got Christian McCaffrey back, so that was a big deal. So he's a great friend of the show, and he's believed in us from day one. We had under 50 subscribers, and now we're here just short of 1,300. So just want to thank him for that support. He is also a gold member for our family Christmas extravaganza. He is a new partner with us as well, so that's super exciting. So who is Nashville Tax Solutions? Well, in the heart of Palm Bay, where the ocean meets the sky, there's a place where tax worries meet their end. Whether you need to file years of missing returns, a current year return, or you need relief from a tax lien or levy, Nashville Tax Solutions has the solution for you. Nashville Tax Solutions is your trusted partner in the tax resolution industry, where they understand the stress and confusion that tax problems can bring. That's why we're here to offer clarity, relief, and peace of mind. Our expert team here at Nashville Tax Solutions are dedicated to providing personalized solutions tailored to your unique situation. Nashville Tax Solutions saved me from a financial nightmare. They're not just experts in tax resolution, they're compassionate too. Don't let tax problems weigh you down. Contact Nashville Tax Solutions today and let them guide you towards a brighter financial future. Please call Nashville Tax Solutions 615-502-2250 or check out their website at nashvilletaxsolutions.com. An email as well, info@Nashville Tax Solutions, where tax resolution is achieved. And again, I said that all from memory, totally just right off the script there. But I kid. Oh, and great to see Emily here in the chat. 7 others. Heather, one of my besties. Heather's in here. So glad to see you. We are talking all things Cleveland Browns tonight. And with that said, our guest of honor, and Mark's in here as well, another bestie of mine. We are here, and our guest of honor is Kevin Smith, and we're talking all things Cleveland Browns. Kevin, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, I'm excited to dive in here, and Rob's going to help us out. He's a big football guy like myself, and so this is going to be a lot of fun. I see Jordan Bonilla in there. Hi, Jordan. Thanks for the thumbs up and jumping in. And so it says, Rob, you're almost so still. Mark says, Rob, you look like a statue. You look so still right now. Like you're not even moving. You're just, that's okay. Maybe you're doing your Mount Rushmore. You're practicing your stillness. So, but we're going to have a good time tonight. So Kevin, first and foremost, if you wouldn't mind just sharing with the listeners a little bit about yourself and then how you became a Cleveland Browns fan, how that even came about.
Hi, I was born and raised in Cleveland, Ohio. I left there about 35 years ago, but uh, I spent a lot of time at the various football stadiums that we've had, and baseball stadiums and basketball stadiums. So uh, I haven't zeroed in on the Florida team yet, who I'm going to support, but I'm looking. But
I know it could be a challenge living in Florida with three teams here and so many others, and you want to be part of it. Like you want to go to the local place and high five other fans, but if you're a Browns fan, you can't really. It's hard. You can't jump off and go somewhere else or
right, I went to
go
a
with another
Tampa Bay
sport.
Buccaneers game and I enjoyed it a lot. So
Yeah. Oh, we have some comedian in the chat. We have Ernie Perez saying, "Wow, the Browns still exist?" Question mark. Yes, they do. So, and Rob, are you still there? It looks like you're a statue again. Wiggle your ears.
I'm good. I'm
Okay.
just listening for now.
Okay. It's you're for some reason you're not moving on our
I
screen.
didn't see his mouth move on there.
You can.
I'm here. I'm here.
Okay. Yeah, it's weird. Hopefully that'll correct itself. It looks like you're just standing in place. So as long there you go. Now you're moving. Okay. So, but and Heather put, I think they're getting a new dome to play in. So Kevin, and well, let's go there first actually. So you have been, I've seen your profile. I know you've been to the stadium in Cleveland. I believe it's called Huntington Bank Field. Is that correct?
That's the latest name. Yeah.
The latest name of many. So, and Rob, I have a few questions for you, but let's start out with that. So for those that haven't been to Brown Stadium or maybe even a football stadium in general, what can you expect at that stadium? I feel like they're one of the most highly attended stadiums. No matter where their win-loss record, they're always getting high attendance. They're always in the top 5 each and every year. So give us a perspective of what it's like to walk into that stadium. What are some of the must-dos you can't miss out on and things like that? Because I have not personally been to that stadium.
Expect a lot of people, shoulder to shoulder. And it's a funny thing because if you go in there with your Browns jersey, your hat, and all that kind of stuff, and you're thinking you're different from everybody else, well, you're going to see everybody in there has that same kind of feel to them. And it's an exciting time, win or lose. It's exciting to be in a stadium like that. And wherever you're sitting, you seem like you're right there on the field with the team. So and I remember that from a youth. So it's always been exciting to go to the stadium.
Now, what was because obviously, unless you live like right around the corner, I'm sure that it wasn't just get there at game time, go home afterwards. Like, did you partake in any pregame tailgating, like cooking some hot dogs, things like that in the parking lot, or did you just go for the game and leave afterwards?
No, I didn't actually set up any tailgating things myself, but I always participated in it, and that was half the fun of going down there is the tailgating.
Yeah, it's always. I remember one time I tried to do a George Foreman grill, but I put and then I was trying to charge my phone and something else, and I zapped out something, and like I had no power left in the vehicle, like I couldn't charge anything. So I was like, all right, the George Foreman had too much gas, I guess. I couldn't make it work. So, but Rob, I'm obviously haven't been to Cleveland Stadium, but talk a little bit about, and then we'll get Kevin's perspective, a little bit about the rivalry, because that division's unique. We kind of talked about when we had you on a couple weeks back, but that division's unique where you almost, not that there's a hatred, but like it's kind of like the NFC East where it's hard. Fans may not understand, like, those 4 teams kind of have a rivalry within themselves. It's not just this team and that team. It's almost like a 4-team affair. What do you think? What are your thoughts on that? Like as a Bengals fan, which team's considered your rival, and then where do you perceive the Cleveland Browns to be in terms of rivalry?
So the teams that we consider a true rival would obviously be the divisional games. So you have the Ravens, and then we have the Browns, the Steelers, and outside of that, right now the Chiefs are a big rivalry. We don't want to talk about the Chiefs right now, but the Browns rivalry is interesting because Paul Brown actually, so he founded the Browns, and then later on the Bengals, and then the two Ohio teams. He wanted to keep them in the same division, and then it just became this huge rivalry, and it's beautiful. And then we know about the Browns being sold and went to become the Baltimore Ravens, and then now you have the other Browns. I don't know. It's not the same organization. I know that. It's not the same team. Obviously, they've had their fair shares of ups and downs, more downs than ups. But the rivalry is interesting. There's no hatred at all. It's just a lot of fun.
It's a lot of fun. And Kevin, you could probably speak to this. So, because regardless of how bad a team might be, like obviously Cleveland is not where they need to be this year, but it almost doesn't matter divisionally where a team stands. We learned that, I think it was just 2 weeks ago, where Cleveland ran roughshod over Baltimore. And then the very next week, Baltimore absolutely destroys Denver. So when you have a divisional rivalry like that, it's almost like you're at equal level playing field at that point. There's just something to it. They show up for that game more than they do for other ones. So I always thought that was interesting, how that goes. So let me ask you this question. So on a game day, if it was up to you, if you had your choice, and this is a fun question, I always like to start with you. On game days, would you prefer to be by yourself, maybe at home with the family? Would you prefer to go out to a Beef O'Brady's or a Buffalo Wild Wings with some people, high-fiving, watching the Browns game if it was on? Some people like to be in silence, when it's on, because they want to shout at the TV and don't want other people to judge. Like, what is your preferred Browns watching experience if you had your way?
Let me address something Rob said, and then I'll come back to that. In a division rivalry, growing up, it was always like Cincinnati was our sister team or our, brother team. So it wasn't that a hateful kind of thing. And it's funny with the Cleveland Browns, like Rob alluded to, that Paul Brown started the Cleveland Browns, and then he started the Cincinnati Bengals. And the Baltimore Ravens used to be the Browns that moved to Baltimore. So it's like 3 Cleveland connections in our division. So we only hated Pittsburgh.
Yes, that's where we unite as rivalries. That's where we unite.
That's it.
Yes. And you're in a unique perspective because you have a black and yellow fan with you at all times.
Oh, wow.
So
every day, 24/7. And all the family. It's interesting. Actually, I like to be alone watching the game, to answer your question.
Okay.
I like to just focus in on what's going on and that kind of thing.
So it's funny you say that, because I've known, all types of fans, but I found that the fan that likes to be alone, because the thing is, when our game's on, it's only 3 hours a week. So we want to focus and pay attention. A lot of times you have that, you want to have, sometimes you have some people over and a big play is happening and they're talking about like the economy or political things. It's like, get that out of this house right now. We have to care less right now during this game. We're trying to pay attention. And also too, some people, like my uncle, if his team is down 14-0 in the first quarter, he'll put cartoons on and like want to be in a whole different personality. And so you kind of can't do that if you have a house full of people. You're kind of stuck watching the game. And then you also have the fan. I want to ask a few guys, and ask you this, Kevin, and then Rob, same question. When your team is on, does it matter to you what the score is until it's a final score? Meaning, like, even if the Browns are up 30-0, you think they can still screw this up. I'm not going to smile until this game is a final. Or are you like living on every single play? Because I've met those people that it doesn't matter until that clock hits 0. They're just like on edge the entire game until it's a win.
Until that final whistle blows, I'm on edge, because I know my Browns. They'll find a way to lose it.
And Rob,
I'm on edge.
They always say good teams find a way to win. That's not the case with the Browns or the Bengals. We find ways to lose, or interesting ways to lose, or we just leave it up to the refs. We won't. That's another discussion for another time. But I live on the edge. I live for every play because you have some games where you know your team's just going to steamroll the other team, and then you got some games where you know that it's going to be a clash, but you'll probably still come out on top. And then there's just a lot of the times they keep you on the edge because you never know when they're gonna let up on the gas and bumble it. I guess is the best way to say it.
And just a quick shout out, a couple new subscribers, 2 new subscribers. Don't be shy in the chat. Let us know that you're here. We're on the charge to 1,300, just about 9 more subscribers to go. So I appreciate that very much. So with that said, let me ask you guys this question. So what is so you said Kevin, you said you like to be alone or, with close family watching the game. What is your ideal game day spread? Like, does it change? Like, is it the nachos and dip? Is it chicken wings? What's your go-to on game day?
Well, I like wings.
Oh, yeah.
Give me some wings. I'm good to go.
Yeah. That's all you need is just the wing. That's it.
No, nothing. Wings, that's it.
Wings. And you have a special place you like to go to for them? Like for me, I like wings and things too. I think you get like the wet wings and then they're big and they're meaty. Beef O'Brady's has some good flavors, but the wings are like very small. So Buffalo Wild Wings, sometimes you can hit, and then sometimes they give you like little tiny little dinky nuggets that are not at all worth the price. But where do you go for yours?
Well, I don't want to give them a commercial, but I agree with you. Wings and things too. It used to be a Wings and Things on Wickham that was really good, but Wings and Things too is the best in the area for me.
For you. And Rob, are you a wings game day guy yourself, or whatever is around?
Wings and pizza, but usually if it's like a group watch, because I like to watch in a small group with people when possible. But I like to make my own wings. I make really good wings. I think you know that. I brought them over for a wrestling event. So
I remember one time a buddy of mine went over, and at the time I was like week 2 into this like health kick. I'm like, I'm gonna eat better. And I remember bringing steamed carrots over to this person's house, and I was like, that is wrong. because I've said this on the show in the past, but like nothing infuriates me more as a baseball fan going to the game and seeing somebody eating an apple or a Caesar salad in a baseball game. Like, that's just not okay. Like, bring on the grease, bring on, the sauerkraut and all that kind of stuff. Don't be eating healthy at a baseball game. But I get it. Some people have to. So I get it. But, yep. And Emily mentioned wings and things. And Mary Ann, my mother's on with us. Wings are the best. Thanks, Mom. You're a big supporter for us. Appreciate it. But so now I'm getting a little hungry myself, so I'm going to move on because I'm otherwise I'll go.
Mike, that reminds me of growing up when I was going to the stadium, and if it was a winter game, they would have these boiled hot dogs, but the hot dogs were usually cold as ice, but they had hot mustard on them. And you could put that hot mustard. You thought you were getting a great hot dog, but it was like. Yeah. The only thing hot on was the mustard.
Yes. Yeah. So I'm going to ask this, and then Robert, if you have a question you want to ask right after. If let's just pretend it's not this season, because unfortunately, no disrespect, but the Browns are not going to be there this year. But let's just pretend week 17, Browns win, they're in type scenario. Is there a temperature where you're like, I don't care? Like, if you have season tickets where like I'm going no matter what, or if it's like below this, you're staying home. Like, it's too miserable at that point.
To me?
Yeah.
No, I'm going regardless.
Doesn't matter what. So I always wondered that, because like I say it because we're Florida, so that's never going to happen. But I always wondered, like, if my team, like, if that game was it, and with. I will never be that guy shirtless with a B on my chest.
No.
But wear enough layers, I think, would be fun. So, but Rob, did you have a question you want to ask before we go on?
I don't know. Are we talking the freezer bowl? Because if the tickets are free, I'll go. But yeah, actually, I do have a question. So, we all know the struggle with the Browns and the QB hunt, so to speak. You know, the trying to find the franchise quarterback, and you guys, there hasn't been much success in that area. So I know that Deshaun Watson was supposed to come in this year and kind of take the reins and take them over the tipping point, so to speak. But that's not the case right now. So with that being said, you have Thompson Robinson, the young QB they drafted in 23. Do you think they're going to want to know what they're about, or know the answer to that? Are they the answer? Do they want to continue to roll with them to kind of see how it goes, or do you think they're going to want to go elsewhere and kind of find a quarterback somewhere, maybe in the draft again, or draft one in the free agency? What do you think?
I'm thinking free agency. I think they know basically what they got, and for some strange reason, if Deshaun is able to play next year, I think they still might get him because that's a $230 million hit for the owner. But if they could find somebody in free agency, they don't want to do. I don't think they want to do a rebuild because you got like guys like Miles Garrett, our star. But he's getting older in his career, and I don't think he wants to go through a rebuild season. He might want to go get traded to go try to get a Super Bowl. So I don't think they want to lose those key players. So I think they're going to look for somebody that's proven.
Yeah.
Yes. And with that being said, you have they put what's his name? It's drawing a blank. The quarterback that they drafted, he used to play for the Bucks. Jameis Winston.
Yeah.
They threw him in there during the Baltimore game, and I mean, even before that, he's been on fire, and he's shown signs of life that he's still got it. I'm almost wondering if they decide that they might want to continue with him.
I think they might. I hope they don't make the same mistake as they did with Flacco. I would have kept Flacco because he was in the scheme of things that they were running, he did pretty good. So I think if they have some patience, Winston could do good too there.
Yeah, he's been doing pretty good. I do have one more question, if you don't mind. We know the Browns' record is 2-7. You have some offensive weapons. I mean, Tillman's starting to make a step up as a wide receiver. But with that being said, and you got Myles Garrett on defense, even so, do you think the defense has taken a step back? I can actually vouch for this with the Bengals a little bit or relate with the Bengals because their defense has been terrible. If you see the numbers the offense is putting up, and then you're scratching your head like, how are they losing the games? I don't know. Go watch them. You'll see. But what do you think about the defense?
I was thinking they're on the field too long, and they're not getting. There's not a balance, and they're getting tired. Because I do think the defense is still, up there, ranked up there. But I just think they're on the field so long, with offense just giving the ball away so often. I think they're just worn out, actually.
There's no balance.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I wanted to mention you talked about Jameis Winston. I think his main thing, like he just needs to know what team to throw the ball to. Like that's the Winston. Like I think if he was on a team with neon jerseys, I think they would go very far because it would be clear like that's the team we got to throw the ball to. That's what got him in trouble. He likes to throw the ball so much to the other guys, and so I was happy to see him in there the other day, but didn't quite work out as they anticipated and whatnot. But so I got to ask this now. I I know we have some other things we're going to get into, but let's ask this question now. It is basically midway point of the season for the most part. I would say pretty much at equal with that. So right now, Kevin Smith's Super Bowl prediction. I know what the easy one is, but I want to hear what your, as of right now, with what you know, what is your Super Bowl prediction for 24-25?
Wow. That's Rob first.
Rob first? Okay. Rob, yours first.
Oh boy.
If you need some time,
Bad idea because I'm going biased. We all know that Cincinnati likes to amp things up mid to late season, around November. So I got to throw my team in there as in the mix. But realistically, I'm going to say the Chiefs and that's a tough one. I would say the Chiefs and AFC. The Lions, maybe.
Oh wow! I was just thinking that, Rob.
Yep.
I'm going to say the Lions. The Lions are doing. They're hot right now. Very hot. I think the head coach has really turned things around for that team in the past couple of years. He's very passionate. The guys love him in the locker room. So I just know they play their heart out for him, and they're doing really well right now. So
this is the most excited I am to watch a Lions football team on Thanksgiving this year. The Lions, to me, are the best team in the National Football League. I would even go far to say that the 9-0 Chiefs of this year are not as good as the Chiefs of last year.
No.
If you look at a lot of their wins, it's like today they needed now, I'm not saying they're not still upper echelons, but in my opinion, it's Ravens, Lions. I think the Chiefs can still get all the way there to that game. Now, the Ravens are not great on defense. I would just want to see that. Maybe I just selfishly want to see a Lions-Ravens shootout, 40, 43, 42, something like that, similar to what we saw on Thursday night with the Bengals and Ravens. And thank the 12 of you that are now in. That is awesome. Thank you guys for joining us. Joe mentioned Lions. So it's we're discussing right now our Super Bowl prediction game for this year. So go ahead and throw that in the chat. But Kevin, you're up. What is your? So we said Chiefs, Lions. I went with Ravens, Lions. What's your thought?
I like what Rob said, the Lions and the Chiefs, and I'm gonna go with the Lions.
Yeah, they had one stumble against Tampa Bay. They brought the best out of Minnesota. I think that game was one of the best games of the season for me, was that Minnesota-Detroit game. Very, very good. And so they're just exciting to watch. Now, normally what's funny is on Thanksgiving, we watch the Lions early and then the Cowboys, but I don't know if anybody wants to watch that. Like, they might as well move that game to, another day, maybe a Thursday night game. They're terrible. If you're a listener and watcher and you're a Cowboys fan, stay with us. But I think you're more on our. So
we still love you.
Yes, we still do. So next question, Kevin. So this is a staple on our show. We still have some more to talk about after this, but I have to ask it early because I want to make sure we get to it and give you enough time. So the Mount Rushmore of the Cleveland Browns. Now, here's the interesting thing is a lot of teams, I look at it from my lifetime perspective or for what I remember seeing. Like, it's hard for me to throw, I'm not going to throw, if this is baseball again, I'm not going to throw Mickey Mantle and Babe Ruth on my list because I have no clue. My great people were not even around for that. So, but with the Browns, it's a little weird because it's really hard for me, at least, to pick a lot of people from games that I've actually seen. But it was easy to go back in time, but I haven't watched enough film. But I think I've watched enough to know of some. So I'm interested to hear your 4. That's all you can get, unfortunately. It's 4 people. So your Mount Rushmore of Cleveland Browns. I'm interested to see if you go throwback or if you do give some love to some of the more recent talent.
Okay. You have to have 4, huh?
Yes, you have to have 4. If you have a 5th in the parking lot, that's okay, but only 4 can actually be on the mount.
I'm gonna have to go back for one. I really didn't see him play Jim Brown, but the running back that came after Jim Brown was Leroy Kelly. I don't know if you ever heard.
Yeah,
I would put him on there, And I remember watching Paul Warfield. He played for the Miami Dolphins for a while too. And this is a tough one.
It's always that fourth one. That's always seems to be the tricky one.
Yeah. Actually, it would be between Nick Chubb and Myles Garrett.
Yep. Can't go wrong there. I'll go next with mine, and then Robert, if you have any additional. But so for me, obviously it might be a little skewed because I didn't see everybody play. But for me, it would be Jim Brown. I have Paul Warfield as well, Myles Garrett, and then my fourth would be Otto Graham. Only obviously didn't get to see a lot of Otto Graham in my day, but I was able to see some ESPN classic stuff, and what I've seen makes sense. Did the research. He's on a lot of lists, so I'm going to echo that. But again, not a lot of talent in the last 20 to 30 years that I would be putting on this list, unfortunately. But I'm surprised, Kevin, that you didn't say that you didn't say Johnny Manziel. No, I'm just kidding. I know you're not a Browns fan, Rob, but any omissions that just come off the top of your head, or?
Yeah, I'm surprised you didn't say Paul Brown.
Hey,
honorable mention.
That's true.
Honorable
mention.
Yeah. That's a good point.
I actually, I'm close. I'm actually right there with you, Kev. I have Myles Garrett, I have Jim Brown, Paul Warfield, and Nick Chubb. That was my four.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Who was the powerhouse? And I feel like there was a powerhouse running back about 10 to 12 years ago, big dude that did great for like a season and a half, 2 seasons, and kind of disappeared. I wish I could remember his name, but that kid, I was like, oh, this guy is going to be a staple, and it just didn't pan out. I wish I could remember his name, but when I do, I'll
message you. Kevin Mack that was pretty good.
He was good. That wasn't on a stick up, but like, yeah, it's what do you call it? I'll probably remember after the show.
Okay.
But yeah, it'll jump. I just remember him being a big dude, not too, maybe in the last 10 to 12 years, something like that. But I'm not going to remember off the top of my head. So I'm going to move on. But I just remember him being a beast. So that's all I remember. But okay, so there we go. That seems pretty consensus. I think it's really just differing on the fourth person. Good news is there's no right or wrong answer. So that's okay. But it's always fun to have that conversation because it makes you go back in time and makes you kind of go, maybe go back and watch some old plays and footage and things like that. So, so where I wanted to go next, so we mentioned that they're 2-7, but it can't all be bad, right? So there has to be, so if somebody was an optimist and I was like, oh, they can win out and they'll get in. So who is the best player that maybe not a lot of people know about, or who are some roster talent that you are excited about and hopefully they get some better support around them. But who would you put at that list where you feel is having a good season despite what the record's showing?
Well, other than Myles Garrett, it would be Spencer Tillman. I'm anxious to see how he does as a wide receiver. He's showing himself pretty good the last couple of times out.
And we have Nick Chubb in the chat from Mark that he would put Nick Chubb on the list as well. But so you're saying on this year that any defensive standouts on the roster this season, or
standouts other than Myles Garrett? I can't think of any.
Can't think of any. Yeah, and yeah, it's just one of those years, and unfortunately, where things just aren't quite working out. But Rob, this question is for you. So we talked about the division that they're in and whatnot. And what was interesting is I believe, and I could be wrong, which is kind of weird the way they made the schedule this year. But I want to confirm that. But today's big game, of course, was the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Washington Commanders. Again, we talked about the Detroit Lions and we talked about the Chiefs and the Ravens, but the Steelers could be there. The Washington Commanders can definitely be there playing Detroit in the end as well. They're an excellent team. So that was quite a finish today. But so you're looking at those kind of teams and everything like that. But when it comes to, how do I put this? When it comes to the divisional play, we covered that earlier. You show up for certain teams or whatnot. Are you a big proponent, Rob, I'll ask this, of like trap games? Because like sometimes you have a team that you're like, oh, like I'm looking at the schedule in 2 weeks. You got Carolina's playing Kansas City. I'm not saying Carolina's going to win that game, but that's the kind of game I look at. And I'm not a betting person. I'm never going to put money down on the game. But that's a trap game to me, where it's like a team that's come off of a couple wins may take them for granted because maybe they're traveling across country. Do you think there's something to be said about those kind of trap games versus, just it's going to be a demolish kind of situation here? What are your thoughts on that? Because I feel like there is something to that.
I don't buy into the trap game. Those are games, like if you're a good team, those are teams that those are the games you're supposed to win, right? If you're on the road and you're the Chiefs at, I don't know what, 7-0 or 8-0, and you're playing the Browns at 2-7, you're expected to win that. I think it has a lot more to do with underestimating and the players getting in their head like, oh, we're good. We don't, we're going to beat this team isn't nothing. We don't really need to try. And they go in with this horrible mindset thinking they have it in the bag already and they win. And teams probably get coached on this now more than anything because so many people are starting to realize that in the whole term, the trap games are coming up. A lot of coaches are probably starting to get more disciplined in that area with the mindset of the team. It's just like with any sport. You can't underestimate your opponent, no matter what they might, no matter how they might perform or what they might look like.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. No, well said. And just a quick shout out for a moment there. Last couple minutes, we actually had the most viewers we've had on a live stream this season so far. So that is awesome.
Wow.
Some support for the Cleveland Browns there. So
they're here for the Bengals. I understand, though. It just so happens you're on the show.
Thank you, Rob.
Yep. Yep. I know. I'm excited. My Carolina Panthers with a monumental winning streak now of 2 games in a row in the same season. That is amazing. But when they come off the bye, they go at Kansas City, so that'll be interesting. See what happens there. But how bad do we want to see Kansas City just lose a game? And maybe it's because of Taylor Swift and all that stuff. But man, I just want to see them get an L, just a big L. I don't care, who it's against. But that would just make my day.
Mind if I chime in real quick? This is an important question for me, and anybody in the chat can actually respond to this and interact. But what are your thoughts? Do you think after watching, and I know this is the Bengals, but I've seen it with other games and other teams too, with certain teams playing. Do you think that the NFL is scripted in a way for certain teams to win it? I'm not saying rigged because it would be against the law and betting rules and regulations for it to be rigged, but it wouldn't be out of question to say that they script it before the season happens to say, oh, this is going to happen in a crucial point in certain games, and they're going to call this flag and this play. They don't need a ton of players. They just need the refs, right? So do you think the NFL is scripted at this point after some of the questionable calls or missed calls, I guess?
I'm going to say no, and I'm saying no because I hope it's not. But I got that thing in the back of my head, like you thinking sometimes this can't be real,
Yeah. Well, surprised we have a special guest coming right on, an NFL official. No, I'm kidding. But now there's the schedules are made more advanced. I wouldn't say that it's scripted. No, I would not. But is there a push to get certain teams that are more not well known, but games well attended, ratings, that definitely goes into play. That with the flexible schedule, you're never going to see. It's just the way it is. You're never going to see the Jacksonville Jaguars, the Carolina Panthers, the there's a few other teams that are. Let's see here, even the Arizona Cardinals. You're not going to see a lot of these teams get any kind of Sunday night game, Monday night game. They'll get the Thursday game because that's like the throwaway game every week, no matter what. Now, although the Bengals and Ravens brought it on Thursday, I think that might have been the best Thursday night game, not for defense, but offense wise in quite some time. If every Thursday game was like that one, I think the ratings would be a lot better. So I do have. So we're getting. We still have about 6 minutes here left. So I want to ask you this, Kevin. I know, so you told us at the beginning how you became a Browns fan and everything like that, and we see some of your memorabilia behind you. So I just want to ask, is there any other memorabilia you might have, or any stories, maybe attending a game with a relative, with a friend, watching it home, or watching with any kind of things that stand out to you? I know you mentioned you like to watch at home and stuff, but any memorable stories you wanted to share about your time as a Browns fan?
I can just think about the last Browns game I went to. It was like 4 years ago. I had a co-worker that he's from Cleveland too, and every year for the last 10 years, he would go to Cleveland on vacation like twice a year. And I never went on vacation that much, but he would always bring me a hat, a Guardians hat or Indians hat or Browns hat or something like that. And like 4 years ago, his second trip to Cleveland, it was like a couple of months before that trip, he was saying, "Kevin, take vacation next month." I said, "For what? Just do it. Trust me." So I said, I put in for vacation. And when it came up that he had bought tickets for us to go to the Browns game and to watch Washington, I think it was. So we flew up to Cleveland and watched the game, me and him and his family. It was really good. And I always told him, like, the only time I went to Cleveland in the last like 5 or 10 years was to go to a funeral or a family member was sick or something like that. That was the first time I went up there in years just to hang out. So it was a memorable thing. And last year he passed away, and I was like, I always think about it now. When I see some of the hats I have and stuff like that, I think about that.
And you said that was like 4 years ago?
Yeah. So it was,
yeah,
it was a great game though. The Browns won. That was the key.
That was the key. Yeah. I think about so I am a Carolina Panther fan. People ask me, why? Like, what's the point? And it was just because that year I had no team. I was young. I liked the colors. I thought, let me just jump with an expansion team, so that way I could say, oh, I was there when they were not, even in the league. And I've been tempted to jump off. I decided I'm going to stick with them no matter what. I've been, the wife is a Tampa Bay Bucks fan, so she's trying to get me. But I'm like, you know what? It's just hard because nobody is a Carolina Panther fan anywhere. So even when we go to the restaurants, we get stuck on the TV in the corner that's black and white with, But I'm gonna keep trying because eventually when they come through, it'll be nice. I know they had that one potential Super Bowl win, they missed the field goal for New England. So if we're gonna lose to a team losing to New England, that's everybody else did. So but it is what it is. But,
I mean, you guys, there's always hope. You'll end up with another Cam Newton, Superman.
Yeah.
So.
And it's funny because even at 3-7, like they're not out. Like New Orleans beat Atlanta today, so they're 3 games back of the division. As bad as Carolina is, they're still only 3. So anything can happen. So that's the beauty of the game and the sport and everything like that. Like you said, any given Sunday, anybody can literally be anybody, and it wouldn't be that surprising. And have you had any experience, Kevin, on the college level, like going to any college games, or you've been pretty much a pro guy?
No, I haven't. Actually, I never went to a college game.
Yeah, it's a fun experience. I go to UCF once a year, and I enjoy it. It's not too far from where we live, and it's a great atmosphere. The
I
hype is
bet.
there the entire
bet.
time. But man, going in person to a televised college football game, it takes forever. Like I love it, but the TV timeouts are like 8 minutes long, and that was that last 5 minutes of the game. It just there's 6 timeouts to be had and to be called, and
Wow.
it's just like oof. I always make the joke. You have a kid asking like, "Oh, Dad, is the game almost over? It's only 4 minutes left." You want to be like, "No, son, that means that there's 57 minutes left in the game," because you just never know. But so hopefully, hopefully the Cleveland Browns can turn this thing around. 2025, but obviously this year, really what you do at this point is you hope to see, you make that determination. Okay, who's going to be a piece next year and who's not, and move along from there. But it's you're still going to watch all the games. You're still going to enjoy that sort of thing. I wish I could be a season ticket holder, live close enough. Like even if I could, Tampa, Miami, it's like 3-hour drive. That's a bit much to go through that often. But I did see where they're, like with the Tampa Bay Rays and Major League Baseball, their stadium got destroyed by the hurricane, and so they're considering Orlando. I think that would be kind of cool. But I did see, speaking of NFL, that Jacksonville is undergoing some major stadium renovation, so they're actually considering moving the Jaguars for one season to Camping World Stadium in Orlando.
Oh,
that
wow.
would be super cool, because even if you're not a Jaguar fan, you get to see some NFL games an hour, not even a full hour away, even if it's just for 1 year. That would be exciting. That's the leading, from what I understand, that's the leading candidate for that when that happens. So that'd be awesome.
Great.
Yeah, that'd be a lot of fun, because I really think they dropped the ball. I mean, Orlando, Jacksonville's great, and I don't know if you realize that Jacksonville has more people than Tampa and Miami combined, which blows my mind. But yeah, no, I think if they can't miss, if they can get a team in Orlando. So
you think Orlando will ever get a team with Joe?
That hasn't been discussed. However, if because there's already 3 here, but if I guarantee though, if something if something good comes from that, like Jacksonville's actually selling games out and whatever, that buzz in the air, then they'll figure out a way to get 2 additional teams, because there's some big states that still don't have, Virginia doesn't have a professional anything, which is crazy. There's some big states that just don't have anything. And so I think that would get the ball rolling if we can get a team in Orlando other than the Magic in a professional level. Would be nice, because Vegas is getting teams now left and right, and Orlando has so much to offer too. So they always say like Orlando maybe not, because there's so many other things to do. But I disagree. I think going to the UCF games, there's people everywhere. There's a need in Orlando for a professional team to not have to drive across the state to go to a game. So that's just me. But yeah, I think I'm really enjoyed this time. And Robert, you have a final, if I can put you on the spot here, final question for Kevin. This is freebie. This is not on anything we talked about. Final freebie question, Rob, for you.
Oh, this is tough. I mean, I had a couple of questions. I don't think I had anything else. Where do you think you'll stand in the end when it's all said and done divisionally? Do you think you're going to – because right now I think you guys are dead last, right? Or are we tied? I think we're tied for last, or maybe you're dead. Well, what do you think if the defense does step up? I know they're tired, and the offense kind of takes its stride. And Tillman, again, I mentioned Tillman as your wide receiver. I think it's going to take him stepping up and becoming more of a quality wide receiver after your bye week going forward in the season. But if they find a way to balance it out, and maybe Jameis Winston is the answer for the rest of the season, where do you think you'll stand divisionally at the end?
Well, I think we'll still be beneath you all. I think you all still have a better team right now than we do.
I personally think that the Bengals are a couple of missed calls away and just a play away in a couple of other games from being 7-0, maybe 7-1 right now, or whatever.
Yeah.
I really do. But what are your thoughts on Tillman as wide receiver? Because he is looking good.
Yeah, but and we're gonna have to have somebody on the other end too. So
Yeah, because he probably gets double covered a lot.
right.
Yeah.
So if he gets some help, if they can spread it around a little better, he could be something special.
That's going to take somebody. That's going to take somebody, maybe a rookie, stepping up and kind of alleviating that pressure from the other side, so they can get them open more,
Right.
or get that running game going a lot better. Because I don't think they've had much success in the run game, given that Nick Chubb is a beast at running. He's a monster. I mean, we've all seen what he can do.
Yeah, it's
But,
only his second game back from that serious injury. If he can come around, it'll be a good help.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. But I feel like we had a taste last season of success in Cleveland. The Cleveland Guardians this year made it all the way to the ALCS, Major League Baseball. So maybe they set the bar. Maybe next year, as a Mets fan, I was maybe next year. Still holding on to 86. But so who knows? Maybe next year. But so what I would like to just say is thank you so much, Kevin and Rob, for guest hosting tonight. Definitely enjoyed. It's a great way to on a Sunday where there's a lot going on most of the day. It's just really one of the highlights of my week to be able to sit down and talk some sports and really just dive into this fun conversation. That's what it was. And so definitely appreciate the time. And I hope you enjoyed it. I know I did. Thanks to all the listeners, the new subscribers that joined and helped to getting us near 1,300 subscribers. So I want to just kind of give a quick heads up on some stuff that is about to come out here. We have a podcast being released very shortly with myself and Rob, where we cover all things Cincinnati Bengals. So look for that any day now. That will be dropping very soon. In terms of lives, we have a week from tonight. We're actually stepping aside for 1 week from the football conversation because we have a guy that's going to come on, and no one really knows about this person, but his name is Trent John from Australia. And this guy is probably one of the best vocalists you'll ever hear in your lifetime. We had the opportunity on our Utopia of the Seas cruise recently to get to know him, get to see his set 3 different nights. We sat for almost 4 hours every night because he was that talented, could do anything from walk the line to pretty much, there's so many Guns N' Roses to Oasis, that so much that he was able to cover. But just a true humble person. Him and Aiden actually hit it off very well. They get along really well. We message frequently, and so he's just an awesome talent. So super excited to have him on a week from tonight. He's going to be coming from the land down under. I think it'll be 11 a.m. his time, which will be 8 p.m. our time. So we'll have him on the podcast. That's going to be a blast. And then 2 weeks from tonight, we'll be talking with Edwin Bonilla, all things Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And finally, the week after that, the first Sunday of December, we're going to have Melissa Miranda. Miguel may or may not be jumping in as well. But we're going to be talking all things Philadelphia Eagles. So a lot of good stuff to come up. But again, thank you so much, Kevin, for your time. And
thank
Rob
you, Mike. And Rob.
And until next time, everybody, we'll see
Thank you
around the ballpark. Awesome. Thank you.